You know, one of the reasons why I really enjoyed this chapter, I gotta admit, it's not the Rocks Pirates, it's not the Roger Pirates. This is gonna sound blasphemous, but I was actually a big fan of the God Knights. Not the Celestial Dragons, you know, I draw the line right there, but the God Knights are pretty cool, especially Garland.
I'm a fan of Celestial Dragons, though.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna dox yourself. Yep, you have a Celestial Dragon poster in the back of your room. You got St. Charles like watching it every night.
No, more Rocinante and Doflamingo. But
oh, yeah. Hey, yeah. So with this chapter, we got revealed to not just 12 silhouettes of God Knights, but we also met a couple. We got the man-mayor girl that I just talked about.
Yes.
She has like this giant, weird Trafalgar Law hat. She has the licking lips emoji going on. She's got a rifle. And I'm not going to lie, I feel like I'm alone when I say this, but she kind of reminds me of York a little bit.
I can see that.
Yeah, just like that, the really rounded head shape and everything. And
yeah.
My own headcanon is that maybe York is modeled after this Celestial Dragon, and that's why York, present day on Egghead, wants to be a Celestial Dragon, because she wants to go back home or where her original form is from. And people have a lot of theories with these guys, man. Like, going on to the next one, we have the guy with the gas mask. People are saying he looks like the guy from Big Mom's village. How do you even feel about that? Do you think it's the same guy, or do you think it's just a coincidence?
There's no way it's the same guy, because Big Mom, well...
We never saw it, though. Like, we had one witness who said it happened, but maybe what goes in comes out. Maybe he just flowed out of Big Mom one day and somehow, some way became a Celestial. I don't see it, though, but I think it is interesting that Oda chose that mask.
Yeah, I think Oda's trolling. And even him and the character... but beneath him, where people are associating that character with the prince that was with Big Mom as well. It's funny, you know. I'm gonna entertain it, but I don't think it's true. But I'm sure there are people that are gonna try to use it to clickbait, and I'm one of those
That's
people.
Gonna be me, baby. No, I'm kidding. No, but it is interesting though. Like, Oda could have drawn any other gas mask, but he picked that one. Obviously, he changed it up because he gave it like the 46 and the little line.
Citro.
Yeah, but
Troll.
it's
interesting.
Yeah, Oda's trolling.
He knows, man. Like, you know, when you put something out, how
Oda's
typically
trolling.
how it's gonna be received. If it insinuates anything, you know, I'm sure it's rare where something happens. Oda's like, oh, I didn't think people would.
Yeah, I didn't think people would catch on to this.
I didn't think it'd be like that, you know. But
do you think Oda's like in the office, like rubbing his hands, like they're gonna love this one?
Absolutely.
He goes on Twitter. He's like, they're gonna love it.
I think Oda gets joy from the fact that people are either surprised, shocked, even sometimes disappointed by what is going on in the chapter. Where it's like, he doesn't want to disappoint you with, you know, the tease with God Valley, but he knows like people are gonna be like, oh man, why did you not give us more of this? Like, you understand the emotions of your audience. I think after a while, I think even as a YouTuber, right, you can upload something, you know, like, oh yeah, they're gonna love this one, or like certain things that happen, just like, yeah, they're gonna like this one. It's just something that, you know, you kind of get a feel for the more you do it.
And I mean, after 26 years, Oda's kind of a master of that. He knows how to play the audience really well.
Absolutely.
And I gotta say it right here. Well, how do you feel about the fact that there are 12 God Knight silhouettes in this chapter, but in Dragon's recollection of them, he only remembers 9 of them. Potentially 10 if you count Garling, who is the Supreme Commander who wasn't in that lineup.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Do 2 of them die? Do they get cycled out? Because I heard some people say that maybe because they get so old, since this was 40 years ago, that they get new Holy Knights and it's not always a set number. Like where do you stand with that?
I think it could be possible that some of them died.
Yeah.
More than likely, or like, because over time, it's like the group just shrunk. Maybe it was 12 back then. And then some of them died and never got replaced. And Dragon, based on his updated information, means that like there are only 9 God Knights left. And something I brought up on when we were talking about One Piece chapter 1096 on the live stream, I said with the God Knights, because people are debating whether the God Knights are stronger than the Admirals, all that. And my conclusion was that I think maybe one at a time, right? Like, so back then when Garling was around, or back then in the eras of Roger and Garp, there may have been one character stronger than an Admiral. Could be whoever the Supreme Commander is at that time. And even now, whoever the strongest at this time in present time is stronger than an Admiral. But I don't think there'll be many more than that. And the reason is these people, they don't have a large pool to pull from. Let me ask you, do you think all the God Knights are also celestial dragons?
I feel like they have to be. You can't let just anybody become a God Knight and dish out punishments and executions to other celestial dragons. It has to be a fellow celestial dragon like Garling, for example, or the Man-Mayer family.
Specific families, right?
Yeah.
So imagine the pool that you have to choose from are these specific families. How many admirals do you think are you getting from these families?
Not a lot, man. Like Garling, probably just like the one diamond in the rough.
You see what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, it's hard.
Look
it's
how
hard.
the world governments, they scavenged the earth looking for powerful people. They were trying to get Big Mom. They were trying to get Kaido. And as I'm sure they've succeeded in getting strong kids, but they all don't turn into admirals. And to think that with that small pool, and again, we're using like super logic at this point, the small pool of celestial dragons that they have to pull from, we have 9 people turning into admiral caliber talent.
Out of 20 families.
No shot.
19 families because the Nefertaris aren't there.
No shot. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
no way.
It's hard, man.
The numbers don't make sense for that, in my opinion.
And here's the thing. People, based on this first page, right, we have Garling, who's always going to be great, and then we have the girl with the gun and the hat, the guy with the mask, and then a guy with the doyle.
Yeah.
People, even myself, like, I don't feel intimidated by these guys. These guys feel like early time skip villains. Maybe they transform. Maybe they have a crazy form like Saint Saturn does, where they get really big, they turn into a demon, and I think that would be amazing. But as of right now, looking at these guys, it doesn't exactly make me fear for the Straw Hat's safety, right? You put Zoro in a ring with the guy with 2 swords, and it's like, oh, well, I mean, Zoro's probably going to stomp him. That's just kind of how it is.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm scared of them. I think they're going to be, like I told you in the other video we just recorded, I think the guy with the mask could be Brook's opponent.
Yeah. Just, you see a sword, it's either a Zoro or Brook victim. You don't know.
And the fact that he has a mask, I mean, it could be a mask or it could just be a skull man, who knows, but it's just a perfect opponent for him. And then, the lady behind Garling, I mean, let's be honest, in One Piece, there's a way that women are typically handled, it's like there's
they're women.
Yeah, and they have like a limit to how strong they are. So I think we have to somewhat temper our expectations. There are going to be 1 or 2 that are impressive, for sure.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, oh, wow, they're different. But expecting all of them, right? Because I'm seeing people say, no, the God Knights are stronger than the Admirals, period. And there's some people who's like, yo, you guys just got to give it up. Admirals are not strong. And it's, like I said, it's all relative, right? If you're comparing the Admirals to, I think if you compare the Admirals to anyone, I think they're strong, personally.
Yeah.
But, I think for the God Knights, assuming that they're all just automatically over the admirals, I think that's just
like they're all Yonko level.
Like that's I mean, but I think the same thing if you anticipate all the Gorosei are Yonko caliber. Like, no way. I mean, I don't think any of them are. But some people feel like Saturn is over Kaido and stuff like that. And it's like, yo, why would Saturn be stronger than Kaido? Like, this is a different level arc villain. I'm like, I think what Oda does a lot of times is he presents obstacles in different ways, where even if a character isn't stronger, it's more of an obstacle. You know what I mean? Where as we go through arcs with Crocodile and Enel, and do you think Foxy is stronger than?
Yeah, Foxy's stronger than these guys.
Do you think? But it's like he managed to get a couple crewmates off of them, and it's like it's. I think that's the creativity of One Piece, where they don't have to be just straight up brawl strong. They can be an obstacle. If you don't understand how Saturn's powers work, you can't overcome him. So I guess to the Straw Hats, he's stronger. Look at the Seraphim, where Luffy, he's obviously stronger than the Seraphim, but he could figure out the power. And we had Seraphim, who were basically Lunarians with all this different DNA. They were stalling out Luffy, Zoro, Killer Kid, or Luffy, Zoro, Rob, Lucci, and Kaku.
How dare you disrespect them like that? Come on. Lucci and Kaku.
Same difference.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But it's essentially. But
I agree.
I
mean, it's like a thing where it's like whenever you have a fight in One Piece or any shonen anime, it's not exactly an arm wrestling match, right?
Nope.
Like, I don't think that Saturn can beat Kaido, but I don't think Saturn is super far behind. But also their powers are just vastly different. It's like Kizaru, right? Kizaru versus Kaido. I think Kaido would win, but let me tell you, I think Kizaru is faster than Kaido. Like, that's just kind of how it is. Like, these matchups and their powers and abilities and what they specialize in, it matters. And I agree with what you're saying, where like these guys aren't gonna be Admiral level, but maybe they have something that makes them harder to fight when you first meet them.
Right, they're gonna be harder, but if it's a mano
mysterious
a mano
opponent.
in a coliseum, and you put the Gorosei in a tournament, I don't think any of them are beating Shanks, Kaido, Big Mom, old Whitebeard. Like, I don't think that's what they are, but they present different problems because they have unique powers. Maybe
yeah, you need the Carfax.
we have to see what happens with Gandhi, just because he has a blade, and you know,
You gotta bring Mihawk in for that
and then
one.
Sanji's dad as well, because he's pretty young still. So he might be the exception. He might be.
Are you talking about Jupiter, huh?
Yeah, Sanji's dad.
Yeah, Sanji's dad. His real dad. Yeah, we
his
don't
real dad.
we don't talk about.
We don't
Judge.
acknowledge
We don't talk about
Judge. Come on.
You know what's funny? You talked about the girl and the guy with the skull mask.
Yeah.
And people are saying, "Yo, this girl looks great," and I agree. But here's the thing: you gotta age these dudes up like 38 years.
Yeah.
Do you think they're still around? Do you think these guys are still a part of the God Knights right now?
I think so.
Because like, here's the thing.
I think so.
Like, I don't think they have the immortality surgery. Maybe for the Gorosei, an argument can be made there, like, oh yeah, they're immortal. They don't age anymore. But Garling, we could see that he has aged. So I'm gonna say the rest of the God Knights also aged. And it's like, man, are we gonna be fighting a bunch of old people? Like, are we about to see the Straw Hats run up on a retirement home by the end of story? Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I think there are going to be a few people that aren't currently that, and there are going to be a few people that
like
have aged
younger,
really well.
newer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I like that.
for Garling, he's a supreme commander at this point. So he's not really in the field as much anymore. You know.
Yeah.
He grew out his beard. You know, he's just a different type of guy at this point.
He's chilling.
He's chilling. For these two, you know, maybe that Skull guy doesn't age, and he just like enjoys the chase, and he's still a member. And for her, she's like the assistant, you know, commander or
The
whatever.
secretary.
Yeah, but they're still gonna be involved. But I think there definitely should be some new young blood in there. I don't think Garling is still the strongest God Knight.
Yeah, maybe he has a son. I mean, obviously, people know that he's related to Shanks somehow. We don't know the exact relationship, but
Remember the
during
silhouette from
Dragon's flashback, yeah, there was somebody there who kind of looked like Shanks. So
Looks
I
just
wouldn't
like
be surprised if he has a
Shanks,
kid.
And it doesn't have the same moon stuff like Garling, so that could be the guy that's in the shadows. That could be if he has Shanks's.
If he has that DNA,
If he has
he
that
was born
DNA,
into greatness.
Born into greatness, because here's a tough part though.
What's up?
If Shanks's brother is also Yonko caliber, that somehow you kind of look at Shanks a bit differently.
Because Shanks beforehand, it's like he pulled himself up from his own bootstraps, and now it's like the DNA thing coming into play.
Yes.
But I feel like hard work matters though, right? It's like Sanji and his Germa DNA. Yeah, Germa DNA is huge, but Sanji, he had to work for it though. Like he didn't just wake up one day and get it.
If Sanji was weaker than any of his brothers, we'd be like, yo, what the heck? Sanji's stronger than all of them easily.
Yeah, easily. Do you think any of these God Knights have devil fruits? Do you think if, like, Garling won this tournament, if this tournament went down how it was supposed to, and 6 God Knights got 1st through 6th place, do you think these God Knights would have eaten the devil fruits, or do you think they were for the slaves and for entertainment?
I don't necessarily think they were for the slaves. I think they were for the God Knights or for the participants. Okay. But I don't think they really cared to eat them. It's just a prize, you know? Like,
yeah, like maybe they hang it up in their room or something.
Yeah, like, hey, I have a devil fruit.
You know, I'm looking at these God Knight silhouettes in the first panel, and I noticed that one of them kind of looks like a half giant on the far left.
Let me look.
Do you think they would let a giant become a celestial dragon, or like a half giant?
You know, the person is that a person? You think standing there?
Yeah, it looks like a big person with a bubble over their head, right?
Yeah.
Like one of those celestial dragon bubbles.
But is that a guy?
Yeah, they let a big guy up there.
Dragon?
I'm impressed, honestly. I thought the celestial dragons were, a little bit discriminatory. Like, we have a long leg member, we have a giant, and we also have a dwarf.
Diversity is not something. They don't have an ethics course.
They're not known for that, right?
No.
Yeah, I agree.
No.
Like, imagine if the guy on the far left is actually a buccaneer, because he's kind of built like that. Kuma's like, dude, like, what about him? get him out of here.
No shot.
Foul.
No
Foul.
shot. They would never, bro. I don't see that happening.
That's crazy. All right. Any final thoughts about these Celestials before we head out?
I think what Oda's going to do is going to introduce the God Knights in present time before we actually see the flashback.
Okay.
So it's going to be like we see flashback God Knights, then we see God Knights of the current time. Then we're going to be like, yo, what God Knights of the current time are actually the God Knights that we've seen in the flashback? So it's going to be like a back and forth. And we're going to see obviously new characters. We're going to see some old characters, and we're going to just try the entire time to kind of put the two together.
Yeah.
You know? So I guess for right now, I am intrigued. I definitely want to see more. I want to know how strong they are. I mean, of course, if Garling, Scarred, Whitebeard, that automatically boosts the entire group. But I think they're pretty cool. Listen, I've always wondered back then, who was Doflamingo the strongest celestial dragon we're gonna see? And I didn't think so. I always thought like, hey, it makes sense for them to have their own faction of competent people, And so seeing this is really, really great.
Here's a good question, and this is an age-old one, as old as time itself when it comes to One Piece. Who do you think is going to fight the God Knights? Not like the 1v1 matchups, but in general, do you think it's going to be the Straw Hats? Do you think it's going to be the Grand Fleet, other allies? Like, how do you feel about this so far? Because I've heard a mixture of both answers, like these guys don't look like Straw Hat opponents, these guys are Straw Hat opponents because there's like 9 of them and there's 9 Straw Hats, right? Like, I've heard a lot of those arguments, and I'm curious to see where you stand.
Mixed bag. I think it's going to be a mixed bag where it could be because at the end of the day, it's going to be the Straw Hats and its allies against the world government, right? And so I think it's going to be an incorporation of maybe a couple Straw Hats, right? And then obviously revolutionaries, maybe some people that are allied pirates, right? Members of the Grand Fleet. But I think it's not just going to be
Katakuri.
Maybe, but I don't know if that would be fair to the God Knights, So I think it's going to be mostly revolutionaries fighting them.
Yeah.
Because if they're not primary antagonists, it's going to feel like the Straw Hats are being left behind. And so how Oda has to position it is like, the Gorosei, are they going to be combatants that we're fighting? Or are the Gorosei just going to combine and go into Imu or something? And then we're all fighting against Imu, I don't want to say the Toby Roper were primary antagonists, but like people were not happy with the, who's who in Jinbei fight. And it did feel secondary to like King and Queen. And Kaido, But even if they are secondary, right? If they're secondary to the Gorosei and the Gorosei combine and they go into Imu or whatever, I can see them being the fights for some of the Straw Hats. But if the Gorosei are all there, and then we have Imu, who's fighting the Gorosei? All the Straw Hats fighting the Gorosei? Like, do we have some of the Straw Hats? Does Law make an appearance? Kid make an appearance?
Yeah.
It's all over the place because some people say.
And then there's the Blackbeard Pirates.
The Blackbeard Pirates are thing.
Like, what do we do with them?
I no longer think the Blackbeard Pirates are going to be just done at Laugh Tale. I no longer think that. I think they have more staying power. At least Blackbeard. Beyond that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Sure. That's how I look at it now.
I like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I have a little bit of a bias against the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, which sounds crazy, but when I look at the God Knights and when I think about how many fights are left for Zoro, Brook, Nami, Usopp, and all of them, I really want more fights before the series are over with our main cast, where if the Grand Fleet shows up and then you have like, I don't know, Ideo fighting the guy with the gas mask, or Lumbus versus Garling. Yeah, it would lose some hype for me. Like, I'd be like, wow, it's cool. Like, they're showing up, they're doing something. But at the same time, deep down, I'd be like, oh, that could have been a Brook fight. It's like Jack, right, on Onigashima. When I saw Jack and when people were disappointed in the Who's Who fight, I was like, oh man, Jack would have been a great Jinbei opponent. Yeah. I understand that it's a grudge match because Nekomamushi, Zoe, Jack, it all makes sense.
It's not even both of them fighting him. It's just one of them.
Yeah, it's just Inuarashi.
I agree with that. Who's your favorite member of the Grand Fleet?
Favorite member of the Grand Fleet?
Yeah.
I know I threw him out first, but I do like Ideo. Yeah, it's just the explosive fist. There's something about it. I was always a big boxing fan back in the day, like 10, 12, 15 years ago. So Ideo kind of hits close.
Hakuba's my guy, man.
Hakuba? Not even Cavendish, Hakuba?
Yeah, Hakuba, not Cavendish.
Dang. I like Cavendish. I like his gag, right? Like this really pretty boy, handsome guy on a horse, but nobody cares about him. I think that's a great
The
gag.
girls do though. Yeah, it's funny because like he wants attention, he wants the acclaim from the guys, and the girls. He's already getting it from the girls. But he's like, nah, I need the guys to be.
I need the guys to justify me. I need to be in the newspaper. Everybody has to talk about me, but it doesn't happen. You know, I just noticed something. Sorry. One more thing.
What's that?
So there's been a big debate on the guy with the animal skull head that is a god knight, and they're like, yo, he's headless, what's going on with him? I just realized that he is perfectly in the middle of that double spread. So when people buy the physical manga, this guy's gonna be even more cut in half. You won't be able to tell what's going on.
You're gonna be even more confused.
Yeah, he is in the crevices of the page. Like perfectly. Like nobody's gonna know what this is.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, yo,
Wow,
what is it?
that's crazy.
They will. I mean, it's kind of like people that don't read the SBSs and the cover stories.
Yeah, they're just gonna be pleasantly surprised when they learn that Blackbeard kidnapped Pudding, right?
Yeah, just like, what the
Like
heck?
that happened? What?
When?
Yeah, they're like, Neo Mads, what is that?
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Vegapunk had a flashback
Crocodile's
with the
not in jail?
Gorosei? Yeah, Kaido's not in jail? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's a
Zoro's
lot.
playing with Chihuahuas? Like, well, what's going on in the cover pages?
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, a
But
little bit shocking. That's why you always got to read the digital versions. You got to read the SBSs. You got to do your homework a little bit.
It's a lifestyle. Okay, it's not just reading.
Yeah,
It's a
it
lifestyle
isn't for everybody.
for sure. For sure.
But hey, thank you again, Braga, for coming in. And you guys know where to check them out. Links are going to be in the description down below. And we'll catch you guys on the next chapter of One Piece as per usual over on Braga's channel. Peace out.
Peace out.